Do you have bad credit and want to fix it but don't know where to start? Well, in this video today, I am going to give you the very best credit cards to help you start fixing your credit. Welcome back, everyone. My name is Nate and I'm here to help you master your money. So I am making this video today for two reasons. One, so many of you, literally hundreds of you, have asked me for this, and it has been what are the best credit cards I can get to start out that can help me out of my bad situation with my credit. Well, here it is. This is going to be a list of cards that can absolutely help you get started on building your credit, fixing your credit, and also smashing the like button for the YouTube algorithm if you would be so kind as to do that. That'd be awesome. Okay, but in all seriousness, this has been the most requested video that I have ever had so far. And so here it is. That is reason number one. Reason number two, I have found that many people, aside from my audience here, have a big problem with their credit score. Either they don't know how it works, they hate the idea of credit and the whole thing's a scam, or number three, you broke it. And even though you broke it, that's okay. We're gonna start fixing it today. So yes, while we are talking about credit cards today, and I know that some do not care for them, like I just mentioned, they are incredibly helpful tools, and when you're building your credit, they can prove to be significantly helpful in that venture. So if you guys have been subscribed for a while, you know one thing pretty well, and that's how I feel about credit cards.
This is an excellent rectangle.
And with the way that credit card companies report your information to the credit bureaus, having multiple credit cards open that you manage responsibly can help your score out significantly. Whether it's getting an auto loan, a mortgage, student loans, better credit cards, whatever it is, when it comes to money, having a good credit score can significantly help you out and help save you quite a bit of money. So without further ado, let's get into things. But before we get too far, I need to preface this by saying a few things about how to use credit cards responsibly so that one, you don't charge up a massive bill, and two, so it has the maximum benefit to your credit. So we're gonna lay out a few ground rules here when it comes to credit cards. And rule number one simply is gonna be don't spend anything more than what you typically would just because you have a credit card. Rule number two is treat your credit card like an extension of your bank account. So if you only have $10 in your bank account, it is unwise to go buy a $5,000 jet ski. I would advise against that. And so that is that. But rule number three, this is going to be that you should pay off your entire statement balance for your credit card every single month on the day that it is due or before it is due. If you do this, you will never pay a cent in interest on your credit card. Let me repeat this because this is important. Every month, you need to pay off your entire statement balance on your credit card in order to never pay interest. Interest is only applied to your credit card after the due date. So if you pay your entire card off on the due date or before, no interest will be applied. Here is your one lesson for the day. If you learn nothing else from this video, know this. And so now that we've established those ground rules, let's actually get into the cards we're talking about today. Number 5 on our list is going to be the Capital One Secured Mastercard. Now, I had mentioned this card a few times previously, and let me clarify, this is not a guaranteed issue card. It's not. But you have a very high likelihood of getting approved for this card if your credit is absolutely trash. With this established, you can get approved for this Capital One card with a credit score as low as 300. That is insanely, incredibly low. Like, I don't know how much lower your credit score can get, but if it starts to look like an IQ point, you should probably consult a professional because having it that low probably isn't super good. And also with this card, if you have a limited credit history, meaning your credit history is only maybe 3 years or less, you still have an excellent chance of getting approved for this card. Now, because it has such generous approval terms, there are some catches to it. And one being that this is a secured card, you have to actually put a deposit down to get the card. Now, let me clarify that secured cards are unique in this. Typical cards do not require this, but secured cards do, because to the bank, you are viewed as a higher risk. So in order to protect themselves, they have you put up collateral, which is basically your credit limit. So in this instance, for this card, they have differing levels of a deposit you'll have to put down. It will either be $50, $100, or $200. Once you apply for this card and put the deposit down, you will get a starting credit limit of $200. And this is great, it has a $0 annual fee, which is really fantastic. And one last thing on this card, the APR, or the interest rate you're gonna have applied, is gonna be 26.99%. Now that rate is very high, and you absolutely do not want to carry a balance on this Let this card be used exclusively for one little purchase a month just to start building your credit. Don't do anything too crazy because with the way that credit reports to the bureaus, if you use a lot of your credit all at once as to compare to how much you have to work with. So for example, if you have a $1,000 credit limit and you go ahead and spend the whole $1,000, well, your credit utilization rate is 100%. You do not want to have that. Ideally, you want to have it be 10% or less. So in that instance, if you have a $1,000 limit, you'd want to keep your spending and total balance on the card beneath $100. Moving on to the next card, and that is going to be the First Progress Platinum Elite Mastercard. Now, I know by the name of this card, it sounds very fancy, but this really is a solid starter card, and I'm going to explain the perks and benefits that come with it to you. One of the best things about this card is that when you go ahead and go to the card website and try and get pre-approved for it, you can see if you're eligible to get it and will get approved without it affecting your credit score. But when you do actually go to apply, they will have an inquiry on your credit, which will go away in about 2 years. Now, like I mentioned previously, this is not a guaranteed issue card, but regardless of wherever your credit is at, you have a very solid chance of being able to get approved for this. And they have approved people down to, at the minimum I've seen, again, 300 credit score is the basic, is the floor. It's as low as you can get. Additionally, First Progress is really good at helping out those that do have limited credit. So if you are just starting out your credit journey, this is a good place to start. Like the card mentioned previously, it is going to require a deposit of either $50, $100, or $200, depending on your credit score. And they're going to offer you a $200 introductory limit, and you have a $0 annual fee, and you have a 19.99% APR rate on this card, which is a good bit less than the first card that I mentioned. So already off the bat, this is a more favorable option to the first thing I mentioned. Moving on to number 3, this is going to be the Open Sky Secured Visa. And the best thing about this card, it is a guaranteed issue credit card. There is no credit check. You can get this card no matter what you have going on. So there's no excuses now not to start building your credit. And like the previous cards mentioned, they can help people out with credit scores as low as 300. And people with newer credit as well. And also, similar to how the previous cards that I mentioned have a deposit that's required to pay, this one has that as well, but it's $200 across the board, flat thing. Everyone pays the same, and in exchange for the deposit, they will give you a $200 credit limit to start out with. Now, the one additional caveat with this card, it does have an annual fee of $35, which is not that bad, but it is there, it is something to know about, and so when you go to sign up for this card, you will need at minimum $235 just to get set up. And lastly, the APR on this card, or the interest rate, is going to be 17.39%. Of all the cards that I'm mentioning today, this card actually has the lowest interest rate. Now, the interest rate only actually matters if you carry a balance on the card. So, like we talked about previously with the rules for using credit cards responsibly, if you pay off your entire statement balance on or before it is due with your credit card in full, all paid off, you will not pay any interest or have it applied to your thing, but that's only if you pay your entire statement balance before it's due. This is as simple as I can make it. As long as you pay your card on time in full, you'll have no issues with interest, but I mention it anyways because you guys have been asking about that, so there it is. Okay, so coming in at number 2, this is gonna be the Milestone Mastercard. So this card is ranked number 2 for a couple of reasons. One, it does not require a deposit to open, thing one. Thing two, it has a higher credit limit starting out than the other cards do. With the Milestone Mastercard, they will start you out with a $300 credit limit. Like I mentioned, there is no deposit needed, and they will accommodate your credit score all the way down to 300 points. And so if your credit is bad, but you don't want to go ahead and get a secured card, this is an excellent option to try and get. Now, again, not everybody can be approved for this. Not everyone will be able to get it, but genuinely, this is going to be your absolute best option for getting a non-secured credit card without having a decent score. This is really your only option to start out without having to pay deposit. So this card does have an annual fee, but it is determined by your credit score. So if your credit score is not very good, you're gonna have a $75 annual fee for the first year. But if it's a little better, you're gonna have a $35 fee to start out with. And then every year going forward, it's gonna be a $99 annual fee. And lastly, the APR is 4.99%. Again, this is very high. Please do not carry a balance on these cards. Thank you. And moving on to number 1, this is going to be the Discover It Secured card. Now, this card is number 1 for a very key reason. This is a secured credit card, yes, but you get rewards on it. There's no other card that I know of that has decent terms that you can get rewards on it and have it be a secured starter credit card. Now, I don't know of any other card that does that, but if you happen to know it, please comment it down below so I can be aware of it and then go ahead and make videos about that in the future. So with this card, again, they have very generous approval terms. The Discover It's Secured card is gonna require a $200 deposit to open your account, and when you do that, they will give you a $200 credit limit in return. And the annual fee on this is $0, and it gets you 1% cash back on all purchases you make. So if you spend $200 in the year, you're gonna get $2 back. Now, that doesn't sound like a lot, but if you just think about it this way, in that everything you get is now 1% cheaper. Well, that's not entirely true though. But at the end of that year, Discover is gonna match that 1-for-1, so you'll end up with $4 total cash back, whereas you would not have gotten anything back. And the last consideration here is gonna be the APR, which is 22.99%. Again, you do not wanna carry any balance on these cards, but if you do, that's what it is. But please don't carry any balance on your cards. That is the worst way to help your credit out, is doing that. So now that you know all these cards, let me just tell you how to best build your credit up. When you first start building your credit, it is imperative that you have many accounts working in your favor to help build your score. There is a myth out there that the more accounts you have open, the worse your score is, which is the opposite from truth. The reality is this: the more accounts that you have reporting a good payment history on your credit score, it is gonna help your score grow quickest. Because the biggest factor in calculating your credit score is, first and foremost, your payment history, and second, and almost equally important, is gonna be your credit utilization. So when you get these cards, just put a few dollars on them, don't do a whole lot, because the credit limits are not very high. You do not wanna max these out. Once you get in the habit of doing this, you'll build your credit up several hundred points probably within a year, and then you can start graduating to other cards. And once you do that, you come into this new realm where you spend money normally and you get some money back for that, which I think is super cool. So I've been building my credit for years, and it's at about a 750 now, which enables me to go and apply for basically however many credit cards I want to and get approved for them, and then go ahead and use all the sign-up bonuses for those to go and exchange those for cash or for free travel. There's so many incredible things you can do once you get past that threshold. But for you guys, this is gonna be your first step. I just wanted to give you a glimpse into what's possibly next and what to look forward to if you decide to make it on this journey. And with that said, that is it for me for today. I'll see you guys next time.